What's up guys, this is your boy Rod from DBZSHFIGS.com, and today I'm bringing to you an unboxing and review of the Dragon Ball S.H.Figuarts Perfect Cell Premium Color Edition. But before we begin, just want to let you know that I'm on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Once I reach that milestone, I'll be giving away one of these Tamashii Nation store exclusive Son Goku Innocent Challengers. So if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe because you might even be the one that takes this one home. So this figure was released back in February of 2017 for $60 US. Now this is of course the premium color edition. The OG cell was released back in November of 2012 for around $57, and it was 1 year after this one, so in July of 2018, that the next cell would be released, which was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which was a completely different color. I believe it had blue in the inner skin here instead of purple. So yeah, there's been three very identical cells. The only difference is the color of the palette. Let's take a look at the box here real quickly. It's a big chunky box actually, which I was kind of surprised to learn. As always, make sure you have your Toei animation sticker there to make sure you have a legit figure. I like the color here. It's like a purple and green. Pretty nice. You have cell post up here. You have the different poses you could put him in. And then one little cool thing is up here, it just says Kamehameha, which is just kind of funny. But anyways, let's get them out. So here we have the figure in the clamshell, and I just want to display to you how all the accessories are here within the plastic. I know people like to see that, so just going to give it a quick little spin. As you can tell, there's two clamshells on there, one for the Kamehameha effect piece and one for the figure itself. All right, let's get them out. So here we have the figure straight out of the package. But before we begin, make sure to check out my website, DBZSHFIGS.com. It's a complete archive of every single release in the Dragon Ball S.H.Figuarts line. You can go in there, look at pictures, videos of every upcoming and past released figure. You could also check out the Amazon Deals tab, where you'll find all the best deals currently on Amazon for Dragon Ball S.H.Figuarts. So make sure you check that out. But anyways, back here, and the figure actually feels pretty good, honestly. I'm not gonna lie, it's, you know, a 1.0 figure, so it's a bit dated, but honestly there's nothing much wrong that I could see just straight away. Of course, we'll dive in a little deeper now, but in terms of the coloring, like on the feet, you could see little details there, like scuffs if you want to call them, which is pretty cool. The black of the shin here is it's very dark. It's very black. There's no shading to it. It's just straight up black. And then you have, of course, the nice detail on the leg and thigh of the little, you know, I don't even want to call them little cell looking things. And then the purple of the underskin is pretty cool. It's a pretty color, honestly. And then back here, you could see, you know, the remnants of his tail. Of course, it was more prominent when he was like in his first form and even in his second form. When he's perfect cell, he doesn't really use it that much, but it's still there. It's still, you know, back there if you want to find it. And then you move up here. I will say he is pretty skinny. I don't know if I remember him being that skinny, but he's pretty skinny figure. So if you don't like that he's very skinny, you're not going to like this figure. I, like many others, am still waiting on a brand new release of a perfect cell. I still don't know how we haven't gotten an updated cell who has an entire arc dedicated to him. You know, when you think of Dragon Ball Z villains, it's like Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu. And we've gotten a pretty good Majin Buu. We're still missing a Kid Buu, but we've gotten a good Majin Buu and a Super Buu. We've gotten a lot of Friezas that, you know, still hold up pretty well today, especially when you consider we have like the full power Frieza and stuff like that. But Cell, for whatever reason, just doesn't really get that much love. You know, like this figure's been basically released 3 times and it's just the same figure with different colors. And then we've gotten the first form, but no second form, and then no updated Cell. So yeah, it's just kind of confusing to me. I feel like it'd be easy money for Tamashii Nations to make if they decide to finally upgrade Cell. But anyways, back to the figure here. So like the black up here is the same as the black on the shin. This upper torso is a little darker. I don't know if you could tell on camera, but it's like lighter green down here and then it's darker up here. So yeah, a bit interesting there. And then good details on the hands. Of course, you can see the nail there. It's a different color. Really like that. You have your shoulder pads that roll up and down in case you want to utilize more of that shoulder articulation. And then the head itself, I mean, I don't know if I truly like the face scan. I don't know. He looks a little too cartoonish almost. Like, I know Cell was kind of a hard one to, you know, make accurate to the anime because, I don't know, every figure I see there it just seems a bit off, even the third parties and everything else. I just don't know what it is about them, but I know when I see a good Cell figure, I'll be like, dang, that's good. But anyways, back here, we do have his wings. They do have nice articulation, honestly. They rotate inward, outward, upside, downside. So it's pretty cool. You could have them post like flying, whatever you want. But yeah, that's basically it for the figure itself. Now I'm gonna go into the accessories. So straight out of the box, he comes with this face that's kind of almost smirking with confidence, I would say. There's also this face where he's more serious and more committed to the battle or just being an evil guy. And then lastly, since it comes with a Kamehameha effect piece, of course, he's got to have a screaming face. As far as hands go, he comes out of the box with these closed fists ready to fight someone. He comes with what I like to call the blast effect hands, where he's just throwing ki out of his hands. And then he has what I like to call the martial arts hands, where you could post them up like before a battle where he has, you know, post up with his martial arts technique. And then of course he has to come with his Kamehameha effect hands, where, you know, he could hold the Kamehameha within here. And then classic Cell, of course, he has to come with his crossed arms here, so you could just have him post up waiting for the day the Cell games begin. Lastly, you have 5 different pieces to build his Kamehameha display. Here we have this piece, and I really like the way the ground looks. As you can see, like the energy is just blasting through the dirt. There's so much detail there. And then even like the little bits of mud or rock going up along the effect. It's just so cool. The attention to detail in this is crazy. I really enjoy this. And then you attach the little lever arm here, and then you could attach the actual Kamehameha, which looks pretty cool. As you can see, it's very clear in some parts, and then it's a blue gradient in others, which just adds to the different, you know, cool factor of it, the different gradient, the different aesthetic of it. I think it looks amazing. Now we're gonna move over to the review part of the video, and as always, we're gonna start with articulation. So at the foot here, he can rotate 360. I just wouldn't do it too many times because that black paint could wear off on the shoe there. And then he can bend down slightly, bend up slightly. He doesn't really have an ankle rocker just because this whole black thing just gets in the way, honestly. There's a slight one, but I wouldn't really say much. And then the toe is able to bend up and slightly down, if that matters to you. And then as far as the knee, he could bend quite a bit, actually. Very impressed with that. And then, you know, you have your thigh swivel there, goes inside out. The leg goes out about this much, goes up about this much, because then this extra part of the thigh here just gets in the way. And he's able to go back about this much. So not a whole lot going there. And then at the waist, he's able to rotate 360 if you wanted to. But at the very least, he rotates quite nicely. He is able to bend over, not a lot, to be honest, because again, this part of the thigh just gets in the way. And then you are able to have a nice little ab crunch. So he is able to look down a little bit. I mean, better than nothing, right? And then he's able to look up, sort of. And then he is able to bend to the side, bend to the other, go backwards. And you could, of course, move that upper body however you want. And then as far as the shoulders, you're going to have to move this shoulder piece if you want to get the full rotation. But then again, his wing kind of gets in the way. You're going to have to maneuver it out and in, but it does rotate 360. And then at the bicep, of course, he rotates 360 because it's detachable for the crossed arm piece. And then you are able to bend at the elbow here, basically at a 90. And then the wrist rotates 360. And of course, since it's in a ball peg, you can extend the hand inside and out. Pretty cool. And then at the head here, he is able to rotate 360. You just have to push it a little bit. He looks down a little bit. He looks up a little bit. He is able to bend his head to the side and to the other side. So yeah, I mean, it's your basic 1.0 articulation. I wouldn't say it's the greatest thing in the world, but it's not terrible, to be honest. I do feel like it kind of still holds up today. Could it be better in some areas? Definitely, but I just don't think it's the worst. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, the little, you know, wings here, you're able to rotate them inward, outward, up. So I really do like that. So I think I'm gonna give it a 3. As far as accuracy goes, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of hard to get cell right in my opinion, because I haven't seen one figure that I've been like, yep, that's the perfect cell. So I just think this guy's a little bit too skinny in my opinion. Other than that, I think they did a pretty good job everywhere else. I mean, the face, there's just something off about it in my opinion. I think they could really update that if they decide to make a new 2.0 or 3.0 cell, hopefully the latter. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. As far as price to plastic ratio, again, this was released back in 2017. So basically over 8 years ago. For $60, you got, you know, a couple of face plates, a couple of pairs of hands, his crossed arm piece, and then this very cool Kamehameha effect piece. So would you have paid $60 back in 2017 for this? I think, honestly, I don't think it was a bad deal, in my opinion, especially because of the Kamehameha effect piece and how much detail that came with. But it's not going to be the best deal in the world, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a 4. Next up is scale. And of course, I have my Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku here. So Cell is sometimes being referred to as like 7 foot tall compared to Goku's 5'9". So Cell, in theory, should be at least a head taller than Goku. So let's see. Honestly, I think it's not the worst in the world. I don't think it's the worst. However, I do think Cell should be slightly taller. Maybe if he was like this tall, I think that would be good. So they didn't quite get it completely wrong, but it's not completely right in my opinion. You know, like I said, if he was like this tall, that would be perfect in my opinion. So I'm gonna give it a 4. As far as shelf presence, I mean, to me, the Kamehameha effect piece just sells this figure, no pun intended. I think it's a amazing looking display piece, even though the figure is a bit dated. I think if you have him post up with his Kamehameha like this, maybe fighting Goku on the other side or Gohan, I think it would just be great to have in any shelf. You know, if you know me, you know that the Cell Saga is my favorite saga, so I'm really biased towards Cell. I think he's a really cool looking character. I think the story was very compelling, and of course, I love Gohan, so I really enjoyed, you know, that coming of age story for him. So for me, this is one that I would love to have on my shelf any day of the week, but I can't, you know, excuse the fact that he does not look big enough, in my opinion. So I could only give it a 4. So overall, Perfect Cell Premium Color Edition gets a cumulative score of 3.6 out of 5, making it a figure that's a little below average in my opinion, but it still kind of holds up today. If you were to ask me, hey Rod, should I buy this cell today? I'd probably say, you know, odds are Tamashii Nations will release a new one within the next 2 years. I hope, fingers crossed. So it might be worth it just to wait a while. If you, for whatever reason, really need a cell for your diorama, or maybe you make YouTube videos or something, then yeah, I mean, this one, it won't harm you. I mean, it still does sell justice for the most part. I just don't think it's a perfect cell. But anyways, if you disagree with any of my ratings, make sure you head over to DBZSHFIGS.com, go into the figure page for this cell. There should be a survey there for you to input your own ratings for each of the 5 categories. That way we get a cumulative score from the entire community. Other than that, make sure you check out the Discord server. Make sure you check out Amazon Deals tab. And once you do that, you just know that I really appreciate you, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day.